BPod Studios.
It's half what you're used to.
It's true. This is absolutely true.
Half Hardy.
What had happened was...
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
It's unbelievable.
Dutcher and Hardy. Mornings, the Sports Hub.
Yes, indeed. My daughter was very, very excited yesterday because Ice Spice was in the box with Taylor Swift, as we are Toucher and Hardy, and this hour of our show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, where I was very successful on FanDuel yesterday, by the way. I had a mixed extra point. The Chiefs' money line, I went square bets. Square bet with the Chiefs' money line, and I had the Chiefs with the plus 1.5, and there I was. Now I could get enough of the Cloud9 Cafe for all of us. I won't, but I could. So, Ice Spice was there. Then all the girls that were there was some teenage girls at the house, as my daughter's a teenager, and they came down to watch the halftime show. They were a little confused with the halftime show, is that they got very excited when I believe it was Jermaine Dupri. I thought at one point it was CeeLo, and I thought, didn't CeeLo get canceled? But no, it was just a heavier Jermaine Dupri when he yelled. Do you remember Jermaine Dupri? Did you see him last night during the halftime show?
I thought that was Will.i.am. That was Jermaine Dupri? Okay.
I thought that was Jermaine Dupri. Was it Will.i.am?
You might be right.
I don't know. I thought it was Jermaine Dupri.
So one guy I didn't recognize.
I thought that Jermaine Dupri, like Usher, owed him his career. He came out on roller skates. It was a whole thing. It went on for hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was like seeing. I mean, rarely do you get during a halftime an hour and a half long performance from a singer and dancer.
Yes.
It's not even something that I'd make fun of, in that it just went on forever, and I didn't know what was going on.
Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
Her. Is that how we say H-E-R? Is that we call her the her?
Was that the lady with the guitar?
I don't know.
I knew
the last two songs. I didn't know what was going on.
I knew the first one.
I did not know.
Well, I knew that he was doing a tribute to Xanadu with the roller skating performance.
Kelly, right?
And I know it was Tron influenced. And I'm not even making that up. That was obviously Tron influenced. That the choreographer was like Tron. I know Usher is leading very heavily into Corey Feldman.
We can't do the light cycles, so let's get out the roller skates.
That was Tron. I'm not making it up.
The outfits, yes.
The outfits in the blue and the thing had to have been Tron. Yeah. They were doing something.
So when you're
Usher was like the Black Liberace, by the way. He's gone. There is a hole in society, in popular entertainment, where people need extraordinarily feminine men adorned in rhinestone.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he was gyrating, now, modern day Usher, when he was gyrating, I didn't feel that was directed at my daughter. Mm-hmm. I felt that was more directed at my son. You understand what I'm saying? I like when you were wearing sequined gloves and sequined frocks, and you are leaning on a piano and sort of half-assedly looking at the young woman playing it.
Yeah.
I didn't believe there was a connection there. No, I did not believe that at all.
Even though he was behind Alicia Keys and doing his thing,
I didn't believe it either. And when he wished his brother George was there, I got very confused by that as well. Did you get a little Liberace vibe from Usher last night?
I didn't think of it that way, but I guess now that you described it, I can see that.
Okay, two things, Fred. Number one, have you seen Behind the Candelabra?
I have.
I find that movie to be hypnotic.
I find it to be the peak of eroticism.
It is. Have you seen it, Wallach?
I have not seen it.
Oh, no. God, do you have to see it?
I have not seen it.
If for no other reason, you learn more about amyl nitrate and what that's used for.
Okay. They're called poppers, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
And they loosen everything up.
Mason, would you like a papa? Go ahead and watch that movie. That's number one. Number two, when you're playing Tron, the light cycles in the video game, first board, no problem. It's up, left, up, right, down, box those bastards in, done. By the time you get to the second light cycle screen, much, much tougher.
Okay.
So that's only one of the reasons why they couldn't do the light cycles last night. I got to say, the roller skating, I didn't mind. It brought a new element to it. I kind of like that he started at field level too, and they did some camera work down there and then moved to the stage. It was. I thought the halftime show was good. I really did.
Someone knows what they're doing
because
they know what they're doing because they are doing this and they know. I think Dan is leading us down a primrose path. I think Dan is setting up a ball on a tee. Dan, go ahead.
What?
I don't know if I'm setting up the ball on the tee, but I am 10 years younger. And you guys are starting to age out of the nostalgic target.
Usher is my age. Usher is my age. Usher is my age. Usher is when Usher was when Usher. Listen here, sir, stop, Dan. You're gonna have to stop for a second. You're gonna have to stop. Your point has been made. Is that I am too old for Usher?
No, we're too old for nostalgia.
I will have you know this.
Yes.
How old are you? What were you doing in 2003? What were you doing in 2003?
2003, I was a senior in high school.
I was partying with Usher in Atlanta at the same places as him with the same people. You know what? You know what my old partner was doing? My old partner was on a television show with a man that was. Well, are you going to insult him? Because I'll let that happen.
Oh, well.
Okay, no, you're not. You're not quick enough. Rich was on an effing television show with Ludacris. Ludacris did nights on the radio station in Atlanta before I moved there. He was on with Poon Daddy. He was his Poon Daddy's sidekick.
Huh.
So stop. You can't do it. You're not cool. If you're going to age us out, and I wasn't ripping on Usher, I was saying there was a very big Liberace vibe, which, by the way, Liberace is a very current reference. He's a gay icon, and he will be long after your children are dead, Dan.
Talking about your brother George, that is for the youth. That is making a connection to today.
He wishes they was there.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, a lot of people thought that, and this is very true, that Liberace was a man who slayed many a female.
Oh, yes.
They thought that they really did think they were so in the weeds with the not liking the gays.
And for years, it was rumored that he was in a long-term relationship with Sonia Henney, but he could never because of those thighs. I learned that from behind the candlelight.
I don't remember. I don't know. Okay. You took a lot away from behind
I've watched it several times.
I was just into how they made the kid.
God, yes.
I just got into the idea.
Amazing.
Hey, Nick, the phone's ringing, but don't worry about a thing.
Recall's incredible, Hardy. Good for you.
Alicia Keys opened up.
One guy is not in there. The other guy's not answering the phone.
Alicia Keys opened up
the Super Bowl guys
and sang a song called "If I Ain't Got You," which I did not know. Usher then
That's because
went
you're
up,
old. How old is Alicia Keys?
I don't know, but I do like the phone caller's point that I have now aged myself even out of nostalgia acts. Like, even the nostalgia stuff is too current for
People
me.
our age. And Alicia Keys, by the way, is basically my age.
Yeah, she's 43.
Okay.
I would have, Usher and I would have been in the same high school together.
Usher isn't exactly a happening now guy. His big hit was 20 years ago.
And Ludacris is older than me. He's got to be older than me. Because Ludacris was on the radio in Atlanta before I got to Atlanta, and I moved to Atlanta at 23.
They then sang the song "My Boo,"
which isn't even the good "My Boo," which I got very excited for because I thought it was going to be
Ludacris younger than you.
At night, I think of you. How old is Ludacris?
46.
All right, so 47 this year. So he's 2 years younger than me. All right, whatever. We're peers. He would have been a sophomore when I was a senior.
Usher then went on to sing "You Got It Bad," and then her arrived playing the electric guitar. Do you think she was actually playing it live?
Yes, because she did nothing of any consequence on it. She just, you could have taught me in literally the time Usher was singing before she went on stage to do what she did with the guitar.
All right, then Usher took his shirt off.
Yeah,
which
and he had a big tattoo of Liza Minnelli, which. Let me know.
Right across his back. Very impressive.
He did. He had Natalie Wood and Liza Minnelli.
And Judy Garland.
And he had the trifecta.
Barbra Streisand.
I was at something, and a guy had a... forget it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Will I Am.
That was not Jermaine Dupri. That was Will.i.am.
Will.i.am reunited with Usher during the highly coveted performance spot and began rapping during OMG.
Oh, okay. So, no, but Dan is telling me I am also correct that Jermaine Dupri was there.
Yes, we're getting to that.
I'm sorry, I was...
Jermaine Dupri, 51 years old.
Older than me. Someone older than me.
Another surprise guest.
And by the way, the Super Bowl halftime show doesn't age anyone out. Like, never has the Super Bowl halftime show been accused of being too cool for the room. Like, the whole point of the Super Bowl halftime show, and the whole point of all those commercials, by the way, were for people older than us, too. Did you see how old those effing commercials were skewing?
I know. Post Malone didn't perform at halftime. He sang America the Beautiful. There's a reason for that.
I mean, RFK had a commercial that was hearkening back to long before I was alive.
Lil Jon then showed up and did one of two songs that I knew. What Are We Turning Down For? Is that the name of the song?
Turn down for what?
What are we turning down for? Oh, turn down for what? And then he went into
John
the song.
Didn't get the joke.
Yes, which they just say yes over and over again, right? Yes, yes,
Hardy,
yes.
So old.
And then Ludacris showed up and they did a song.
Chris Lova was his name.
But I got to say, I was only kind of half watching it, but when I was watching, I'm like, oh, this is a good show. This is a good halftime show.
I appreciated his sweat, and I appreciated the camp. And I thought it was delicious. The way I would describe it is delicious. It was the gayest halftime show in the history of halftime shows.
What about Madonna?
I don't know. Kendra Middleton just texted me and said, "What are you turning down for?" That was gold.
Oh. So there you go. That's your Super Bowl halftime show
Are you
recap.
saying you turned down the TV and you said, what?
What are we turning it down for?
What are we turning it down for?
Turning it down for?
Hey, all you in the theater tonight, get ready for some crazy burlesque fat chicks.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, 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 and yes, I'll do that. Yes, 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 put it back. Yes, 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 to all of it. Yes, 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 I'll take a lick.
Would you like a popper?
Turn it down for what?
Yes, yes.
Turn it down for what? Why?
Because
turn it down for why?
You wouldn't, because you want to know why? It makes it better. That's what I learned from behind the candelabra.
Listen on up. Loosen it up. Fritz Schneider actually was out for that. You didn't see it. He was just one of the dancers. Turn down for what? Turn it down for what?
As hot as an oven.
Jukebox money is fun. And bring your money for poppers. The Love Shack is a place where we can wear sequined outfits and not be judged.
What type of music was in the Super Bowl halftime show? It wasn't rock. It was hip-hop.
Pop Lobster.
Down.
That's when we take poppers and get in the bottom of the jacuzzi. It's called Pop Lobstering. We're sea creatures, crustaceans, living on the bottom. Well,
Who's
if you do a popper,
bottom feeder?
if you really are doing poppers, you're most likely the bottom. But it's going to be a power bottom situation.
That's again Michael Douglas in a very bold performance.
And
I give him a lot of credit for
popper money.
I give him a lot of credit.
Well, the man did get cancer for cunnilingus.
That's what he says.
That's what he said. He's a very demanding wife. Not very clean either.
Whew.
That's got to be a fun Thanksgiving.
Is Callahan still coming on, or is he?
Yes, Jerry Callahan has joined us. He was so inspired by the foot washing commercial.
Ask him about this last break.
He loved the foot washing commercial.
Ask Jerry about the last 15 minutes of the show.
You're the one who's best friends with him.
Yeah.
Andrew Callahan from the Herald. Was he at the Super Bowl or no? He will join us, and he can say what his feelings are on the whole Mahomes thing in what the Patriots should do in the draft.
And poppers.
Well, we know about the Herald newsroom. Right. It is really a Sodom and Gomorrah. Ooh. If you want to talk about washing. Some people could stand to have their feet washed. We'll be right back.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Lainey Wilson is on a roll. She's delivering great music and teaming up with some of country's hottest acts. Text Lainey to 45911 to see which 4 Lainey Wilson collabs have us talking at BackstageCountry.com. Text Lainey to 45911 to get a link to the list sent right to your phone from BackstageCountry.com.
At our website.
Zolak and Bertrand get you through the workday at 10. Right now, it's Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Green Day played.
They played Friday night at the House of Blues for the EA Sports Party.
Yeah, if you follow any NFL writers, they apparently all were there. And would take numerous photos and post numerous photos of them at a concert. That I'm not a huge, I don't understand. Like, Green Day will play in everyone's town. Like, everyone that these people are reporting for. Like, for instance, like the Lions beat writer, Dave Burkett, who I enjoy. I believe he put photos of himself at the Green Day show. I know Ben Volen put some photos of himself at the Green Day show. Like, you realize Green Day will be here. That everyone that you're talking to will have the opportunity to see Green Day.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing them in that size club. It's
if you were cool, you could have seen him in the East Bay. You could have seen him at Gilman Street.
I agree.
If you were cool. You could have seen him play that high school on YouTube. I mean, this is not, you've not uncovered something.
Yeah. That's a crazy tour this summer. They're at Fenway Park. Green Day's at Fenway Park. Smashing Pumpkins are a support act for Green Day.
What?
Smashing Pumpkins and Rancid are opening up for Green Day at Fenway Park.
Well, if you smash a pumpkin, it's going to end up Rancid at some point. No, these are for the kids.
Fred.
No, these
you are a caution this morning.
I feel like I've aged out. Someone made a good point though. The outfits were not Tron so much as dodgeball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the marching band on the field. I don't know who's done it since, but Prince did it. And I was rewatching the Prince halftime, which is like a yearly thing. Yeah. You have to do that once a year. And the marching band on the field. That's obviously been done, but it's been done recently, and dare I say, ironically, by having them out there. So, but whatever, it was still a good
John,
show.
how was the marching band? You'd be the only one here who could judge.
Well, we're just thrilled to be part with the cool kids. That's all it was.
No, well, that's not what I asked. I asked for not how they were feeling, but how they played. But John, again, has dropped the ball. Andrew Callahan did not drop the ball in his reporting this year of the Patriots. For the Boston Herald, he joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. You, Andrew, were not at that Green Day concert.
No, but you had me going down memory lane. I'm thinking American Idiot Tour 2005, Rocket Out next to my mom. I want to say Mansfield, Mass.
Oh.
And then a show. It might have been in Bridgeport if it wasn't Green Day. It was Foo Fighters and Weezer the same year. It's a banner year for me at concerts.
Yeah,
with your mother.
In Mansfield.
Oh, yeah.
I saw
someone had to drive.
I saw my mom sat next to me as I watched the Beastie Boys on the Licensed Ill tour. As the penis came out of the amplifiers, my mother was there right next to me.
Was that Cobo Hall?
No, that was the Fox Theater in Detroit, Michigan.
Nice.
I saw them at the Fox Theater. I saw them in the intimate setting. Fishbone and Murphy's Law opening up for Beastie Boys. Nothing like the hardcore New York sounds of Murphy's Law to excite the adolescent crowd of the Beastie Boys.
I saw Beastie Boys at the Phoenix Center in Pontiac. That's a good neighborhood. That's something that I would definitely let my kids go to.
I spent a New Year's Eve at that very place as a high schooler. And I don't even recall it being that bad. I know the Shelter was in a terrible neighborhood.
Yeah.
But not anymore. They've redone the whole thing. Andrew Callahan. Okay, so coming out of that game, I thought this. The 49ers are about as good a team outside of the quarterback position as you could put together, as you could make. The Kansas City Chiefs are far inferior. Let's start there. You agree. talent-wise, Kansas City is the inferior team on the field.
By a small margin, yes, but not in the way you're describing them.
The offense of the Kansas City Chiefs outside the quarterback position is not incredibly inferior to the 49ers?
I mean, I think that speaks to the power of Patrick Mahomes, right? Like the things we're seeing.
That's where I'm going with that. That's where I was going with that.
But I think when we isolate the offense, you're forgetting about guys like L'Jarius Sneed, who I think a lot of Patriots fans should get to know because he's about to be a free agent. I think should be nearer at the top of their board when things come up. That dude erased Deebo Samuel last night.
Well, see, Deebo Samuel's hamstring also erased him last night. Don't you think he was playing a little hurt?
Sure, but like you want to go through all of the different weapons. The answer, whether it was L'Jarius Sneed or somebody else, is the Chiefs had someone able to stick to them one-on-one. Like I don't think they get enough credit for the talent they built up on defense. Like they faced 4 top 10 offenses this year, and collectively those offenses in the postseason, starting with Miami and ending with the 49ers, average about 10 fewer points against the Chiefs than they did during the regular season. That was a dominant, very, very talented defense.
Do you think, though, that the 49ers losing in that game proves the point that you need an elite quarterback to win in the NFL?
Look, as long as Trent Dilfer's still walking around, we can't say that exactly. Like absolutely, but yes, of course, if you want a better than not chance to win in the NFL, obviously it's a quarterback-driven league. And the team with the best quarterback.
If Patrick Mahomes was on the 49ers, would the 49ers have won that game?
Of course.
Okay. If Patrick Mahomes was on any of the last 4 teams in the playoffs, would they have won that Super Bowl?
Are you trying to put the Lions on the stand there? Is that what this is about? Is this a roundabout way to getting to the
my
Super Bowl
point
championship of the Detroit Lions?
My point is this, and maybe I'm wrong, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, and I will actually bow to your knowledge. But this speaks to me that wasting the 3rd pick on Marvin Harrison in this upcoming draft, especially with the uncertainty at the quarterback position in the following draft, this proves to me that you need to win Super Bowls, you need a star quarterback, regardless of what you put around them. The star quarterback is the necessary ingredient.
Yes. I mean, I think that's true. Even before Mahomes came onto the scene, you could count all the AFC quarterbacks for basically Brady, Manning, or Roethlisberger going back to the Stone Age. Like that's how the NFL works. You will have the outliers. Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl. I mentioned Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson with the Bucs in 2002. There are outliers, but 90% of the time, you need that quarterback. As far as the draft goes, this part is being underrated in the whole conversation with the Patriots at 3. Yes, default, the quarterback should be the pick. But unlike other positions, quarterback is not just about talent and scheme fit and ability. This is being the face of the franchise, someone you trust to be a quarterback all the time. A 21-year-old from the jump who is the face of your franchise, shouldering all the hopes and dreams. If you don't love that person, that player at number 3, you can't take him as a quarterback where you might be able to as a wide receiver or an offensive tackle or whatever.
Yeah, and I think it probably leads us down the path again of not just drafting the quarterback, but getting a veteran and having someone maybe even to play for most of, if not the entirety of the first year. And it's going to be a process. But I'm with Fred on this. Outside of, the Nick Foles Super Bowl win with the Eagles and a couple of others that you mentioned, Dilfer is, I think, the gold standard for a quarterback to win the Super Bowl. If you have your sights set on going back and winning it, you at the very least you have to have someone like Matthew Stafford, who is not a superstar. He's not going to go down
Hall of Fame quarterback, though.
But I think he's Hall of Fame, and I think he's got that type of talent that if you can keep him healthy for an entire season, he can win you. It's a long way of saying, Andrew, that you need a guy who can win a game for you. It's not enough to have a quarterback in there that you can win with. If you want to get to the Super Bowl and win it, it has to be a guy who can win you the game. It's not just a guy who's there not making mistakes.
Right. He's not riding shotgun. Like, I'll go back to me and Green Day, my mom in 2004. If I wanted to go to a concert in 2004, I needed someone to drive the car. I needed my mom to go to the concert 90% of the time, unless I lucked out with, my cousin's Trent Dilfer's going and we can hitch a ride with them. Like, you need someone driving the winning. Matthew Stafford made that 2-minute drill at the end of a game. That's the quarterback position. They power everything. They're the engine. They're the driver. They're everything that goes into an offense and you build around them. So, of course, if it's, the talent is tied between Marvin Harrison Jr. and, let's say, Jaden Daniels, it's not even a discussion. Take Jaden Daniels if you trust some of the other things I mentioned, as far as just being the face of the franchise, someone you can build and grow around, because that's the other part. They're a culture setter. They drive the winning after you drive the culture. If you don't trust them to do that in the locker room, then maybe you trade back and pick somebody else.
Okay, that's a good point. Now, just leading into that, do you think Mac Jones at any time, even in the best of environments, could have been a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Like if Mac Jones was the quarterback of the 49ers, do they win a Super Bowl? Is that possible?
No, I don't think so, because I think Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Mac Jones was, as we've seen at the peak of his power. So it's close, and we're talking about a really exclusive club here, like, fellas, right?
Yeah. But that's what the game has become. Like you just said it. It's Brady, Roethlisberger, Manning. Those are all Hall of Famers. And if you go and look at Stafford's stats, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, where he lies in all-time statistics, and it might be the way the game has changed. It's certainly a big part of it. But Stafford's going to the Hall of Fame. So, like, everyone outside of Foles that we just mentioned is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and that just unfortunately or fortunately is the way it is. I saw that 49ers team as a team that had built itself perfectly. They have the most influential head coach of his generation. They have, like, they have, whatever you say, they have talent, maybe the best left tackle of all time. They have the best skill position player in Christian McCaffrey in the NFL, arguably. You have one of the best tight ends in football. You have 2 stud wide receivers. They had everything, but you knew that whole game, if it was close, even when it was 10-0, that Patrick Mahomes,
the 49ers kicked the field goal at the beginning of overtime.
The third leading receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs was a guy the Jets cut that had 1 reception for the Jets in Hardman. I mean, it was Mahomes. I get it. The defense is good, and I get that they have an elite defensive tackle, and that they have a corner that shut down Deebo Samuel, but it's Mahomes. And it's kind of frustrating.
In the coaching. John just said it.
Sure.
Because Kyle Shanahan didn't know how the overtime rules were going to unfold in the Super Bowl, because they were different from the postseason than the regular season. He did not prepare his players, who were looking up, as they told reporters after the game, at the Jumbotron going, oh, that's how this is going to go. Meanwhile, Kansas City, their players are saying Andy Reid had us prepped from training camp. They knew exactly what they were going to do. And if they were following a touchdown from the 49ers, they were going to go for 2 and already knew the play they were going to run. When you get down to the nitty gritty, yes, it starts with an elite quarterback, but secondarily, you need elite coaching, because that makes a difference. With the play design that the Chiefs won the game on, understanding that they were going to give the ball to the 49ers, who took it and didn't understand that. Like Kyle Shanahan, incredible innovator, game management has been a weakness of his for a long time. I think that's probably the difference right now between him having a ring and not.
Okay, but look at Andy Reid's coaching. So that's a great point. But look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid was looked at the same way as Shanahan, as a guy who could get there. I mean, he blew a bigger lead than 28-3 against Indianapolis. Andy Reid,
he was constantly criticized for his inability to use timeouts.
He was a punchline, and he's won all these Super Bowls after the age of 60. Let's go to a second storyline, perhaps, Andrew Callahan, is this notion of getting a hot young coach, a bit of a mytharoo, and maybe you could get a 60-year-old in there, and you just look at Andy Reid and what he's overcome.
I mean, I think the part that I'll always push back on is it has to be a young offensive coach. And I understand we just had a long conversation about quarterbacks. That person is with the quarterback, driving the offense, who's driving the driver, so to speak. But you need a good game manager, as we just came in. So, like, whether they're young or they're old, that's fine. Andy Reid, I think, learned on the job, painfully so, as he's gone on from Philadelphia to where he is now in Kansas City. Obviously, Mahomes makes a big difference. Whether you want to say young or old or offensive or defensive, you need someone who can handle the pressure inside the game to make those decisions. And that's something we talk about with Belichick all the time. I think it gets very underrated in the last few years because they just weren't in those playoff games, obviously. But I don't think it's a myth. I just think it's something that we lean into a little bit more in the media than we probably should.
But maybe Dan Quinn isn't such a crazy hire because maybe he's learned the same lessons. He's a guy in his 50s, or is he aged out like I have from the very young Usher?
He should be fine. Are we doing the Commanders coaching hire now? Is that what we're doing?
I'm bouncing. I came out.
Dan Quinn might have learned.
There's two things that. If you're trying to follow my lane, and if it feels like I'm bouncing all over the place, I apologize. But my theory is this: is two things that coming out of this Super Bowl as they apply to the Patriots. and they apply to the NFL in general. Because the Patriots are a lump of clay. You'll agree, right? Right now, they can be formed into anything. So the horizon's wide open. They're building from the bottom. New coach, no quarterback, very little players of any skill level. So what I've come out of this thinking is that the inferior team won just based entirely on quarterback play, and that Andy Reid is going to be considered one of the best coaches of all time, and he has collected all his Super Bowls after the age of 60. And so these are the two storylines I came out of the Super Bowl with. And so when I think Dan Quinn, I think a guy who had a similar career to Andy Reid in that he took a team to the Super Bowl, he mismanaged it, it was a gut-destroying loss. Andy Reid had those in the playoffs, and that he's a guy getting a second chance like Andy Reid. So that's where I came to that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I would push back against, way inferior team. Like the spread was 1.5.
Because of Mahomes, though.
Right. But does that not matter? Like quarterback get lumped into the roster. These are not two separate things we're holding when we're talking about the Chiefs. That's the power, the influence, the benefit of having the greatest quarterback in the league is that he makes your team that much better. It's not like we can just say, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes isn't playing. They would have lost.
No,
yeah, of course.
But that's the point. The point is that Kansas City wouldn't have been anywhere near that game if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes. That's how good he is. That's the difference maker. And because Kansas City is winning despite the talent on their roster, that kind of conveys what we're talking about with the Patriots. Use the third pick, get a quarterback if you love. But the point is, keep taking quarterbacks until you find a good one, because that's the most important thing here when you build a roster. That was the point.
So to Fred's coaching point, there's one thing I want to mention there, because I think he's right in bringing that up. You want to talk about Andy Reid or Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll. All of these technically are retread head coaches, guys who have learned from their mistakes, obviously gone on to be future Hall of Famers. So that cosign there. Quarterback, yeah, obviously. I'm with you. Again, the default is take the guy at 3. You don't want to ever pick here again. And the only reliable place on planet Earth, historically, that you can find a franchise quarterback, and it's no guarantee, success rate is maybe 30, 40%, is in the top 10 of the draft. So when you're there and you don't have a quarterback, take one. Absolutely.
All right, I think we ended up in the same page. I
go.
just think I was a little obtuse in my way of getting there.
Congratulations, Andrew, for coming around.
All right, Andrew Callahan, in all seriousness, though, I want to talk about one of your colleagues. He wrote a very, very powerful piece about a very personal thing in the Herald. I'll let you take it from here.
Sure. So my colleague, Doug Kyde of the Herald, who lost his 2-year-old daughter, Hallie, to leukemia last month, is returning to work today, part-time. He and I have agreed just whatever he wants to do, as much or as little, is good by me. And he wrote a piece about his whole, really last 9-10 months of what it was like being with Hallie, caring for Hallie, working through this, which was his choice all along, a good, healthy distraction to him, as he put it. And he and I have a lot of conversations. And really, I would encourage anyone who's, cares about Doug or the Patriots or has ever experienced any type of loss in their life, this piece will speak to you. It will tell you more than you ever knew over the last 9-10 months. And I say that as someone who worked closely with him, and we spoke just about every day. So please take the time, read the piece, and welcome Doug back to work here part-time starting today.
Awesome. All right, Andrew. Thank you for the time, sir.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. We are running late, so we will go to the headlines and be right back.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Country music has so many generous artists who always seem to jump in to help those in need. We're spotlighting 5 who lead by example and lend a helping hand to charitable causes. See who made our list when you text GIVE to 45911. Text GIVE to 45911 and read all about it right now on BackstageCountry.com.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up.
We're back. Toucher and Hardy.
Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
You know what else I like in that behind the candelabra was the warm-up act for Liberace.
Usher?
It wasn't Usher. It was like It was like an Up With People sort of like dance, like song and dance troupe.
I don't know who that is. Is Up With People? Are they too? That's too modern for me.
No, Up With People used to be the Super. Well, used to be the Super Bowl halftime show.
They were the Super Bowl halftime show when I went to the Super Bowl when I was 6.
Really? All the way back then. It's at the Silverdome. What?
Up With
1980?
People. They did a corny Super Bowl halftime show a lot more recently than you'll remember, and not corny meaning like Black Eyed Peas. Like they did a tribute to space or something.
Really?
Like fairly like in the 90s. Like the idea of the Superstar halftime show, like when Michael Jackson was the halftime act, it wasn't just Michael Jackson. It was like Michael Jackson in a tribute to like the moon. Like there was a theme to it. Max Headroom was in it. Max Headroom was the halftime show in 1990. It was the Max Headroom thing.
In the early
and
70s.
You wore 3D glasses. I went to Super Bowl 16 in the Pontiac Silverdome. It was Joe Montana's first Super Bowl. I was 6 years old.
Up With People. There it is.
It was Joe Montana versus Ken Anderson. And the best quarterback won that, too.
They used to have marching bands. I'm looking at this all around the Up With People. The
Super Bowl halftime show didn't become a thing until like mid to late 90s. They didn't figure out.
Florida State marching band in Tampa in 84. It's a USC marching band at the Rose Bowl, 87. Oh, my God.
Yeah, they were bad up until the early 90s.
Yes, and Usher was, in my opinion, the Black Liberace when he leaned on the piano and unconvincingly was gazing at Alicia Keys in his rhinestone outfit. I thought Liberace, yes.
You know the game changer for halftime shows, as Hardy was saying, 1991, Tampa Stadium, New Kids on the Block. And then it all went uphill from there.
And that's when Ma and Pa America threw down their guacamole and said, I can't take this youngster.
But it didn't, though, because in 92 it was back to Gloria Estefan, Brian Boitano, and Dorothy Hamill.
Ooh, Hardy.
And members of the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team.
No Peggy
and
Fleming?
The University of Minnesota marching band.
Yeah, so I'm
they
telling you.
hadn't yet figured it out.
No, they hadn't. So I guarantee you, even like that Gloria Estefan thing, she was, I mean, the Miami Sound Machine was basically the Germs. I mean, they were just copying.
Even in 97, they were doing the Blues Brothers thing. The Blues Brothers.
That's the winner. Read the whole act.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's the Blues Brothers featuring Dan Aykroyd, John Goodman, and Jim Belushi, ZZ Top, James Brown, and Catherine Cryer. So, I don't know.
John Cryer's sister, and it was 2.5 Men before it. It was like almost like the pilot of 2.5 Men. Well, since we're talking about this, we can get to Kelsey. I think we'll bump Jim McBride. There's just too much to talk about. This is an email from Joe Beatty before the email segment. He said, "Hey, Freddie, in a battle of white-bread, girl-next-door, flat-chested Super Bowl women."
Oh. Yes. I wasn't paying attention, but yes.
Who rates the highest with Hardy? And I disagree with some of these because I think one does not fit.
Okay.
T. Swift, Gwen Stefani, or Blake Lively. Love the show. That's Joe from Saugus. Now, I don't think maybe any of these girls apply to what you like. Too much makeup. Would you immediately eliminate Blake Lively? As Blake Lively, it doesn't seem to me to be your type at all.
No, but I do like Blake Lively. I'm not a fan of Gwen Stefani. There was going back to like the No Doubt thing. I think she might have been barefoot walking around that filthy rehearsal space in the Don't Speak video, and that turned me off for life.
But you know what Jesus would have done? Wash those puppies.
Yeah, he would have. So what was the third one there?
Taylor Swift.
Now I'm going to go Blake Lively.
All right, I have a picture of a young Fred Toucher interviewing Gwen Stefani. She has short hair and braces. Would that have improved her?
Oh, man.
No.
She has short pink hair and braces.
No, the braces, no.
Okay.
No, stop.
I don't know. I mean, she was an adult. She was older than me. Gwen Stefani's older than me. Believe it or not.
Okay.
If I get one more people saying you aged out and then tell me some lame-ass corporate thing.
So now, obviously, everybody does some kind of a Super Bowl thing, whether it's a pregame, halftime, postgame. Gwen Stefani was doing something called the TikTok tailgate, which apparently was a big enough thing for them to spend a lot of money and put on a whole production. Now,
yeah, they're also the tool of the Chinese government. Go ahead.
But I don't know how you would have watched this thing. I don't know
on TikTok.
Who would have watched this thing.
My daughter.
You're just going to watch it on your phone instead of watching the TV set and all the stuff that's going on.
My daughter consumes all her media on the phone.
Okay.
Yet her screen time is lower than mine.
I find that hard to believe. She's found a workaround.
I think that might be the case, but you figure that I use my phone for directions. I use my phone when I'm walking the dog, which is over an hour a day.
Yeah.
Animal lover. Get a bad rap, but it deep down takes care of these rescues like there's nobody's business.
But do you have does that count as screen time
Yes.
if you're just running an app?
If you look on your phone, I believe it does because you're running an app. Like if I use something from the Calm app to go to sleep, that's 30 minutes of screen time.
Oh boy. You're not using directions to come here in the morning?
No, I
Okay.
use them to go. No, I don't use them to go here or go home. I did in Dorchester.
I did up until I started doing here every day, even though the route only changed a handful of times. I would use directions every single day just in case there was an accident. I was going to get rerouted.
To find as many adults when we worked in Dorchester on kids' bikes to go right directly in front of my car when it was pitch black. I said, can you find me the best way to take Mass Ave? And then find the most amount of red lights for them bums to come out and start slapping the hood of my car and demanding money, but still having their hands inside their shirts. I don't even know how I would have handled
You went right
money.
through Mass and Cass every day.
No, that stopped quick.
But
Mass and Cass, I was afraid I was going to kill somebody.
At the beginning, you did.
Yes. But I was literally afraid I was going to kill somebody because I wasn't afraid for I swear to God, you could put me up to a lie detector. I was afraid that because people just pop out in front of your cars. There's people laying in the road.
Yeah.
Like I was afraid I was going to kill somebody. I was not afraid of being killed. But then when I took if I took 93, it was shut down half the time. So if I took down coming into work, there was a certain red light. I can't even remember what road it was. But there was Columbia. No, not Columbia. There was always a nice couple. I would imagine there were a couple. I always imagine them going home and having tea after.
Right.
That would scream and yell at me and kick my car. And that was a nice...
It's because you went over into the crosswalk a little too much?
No, they were just upset about their condition and wanting, I would mean, cocaine or perhaps a liquor. And so I would just hand them liquor. I had it. So I would just be like, take it. I mean, I can get more liquor.
Yeah.
There's liquor stores in Dorchester open at like 7.
It's like a toll. You have to,
and then
buy the nip bottle.
And then I would be like, Nicholas, by the way, if you're buying nips, they should just give you an AA card because there's no reason to buy nips. Those are to hide.
Well, you just keep them.
The reason for nips
in the center console.
Yeah, they're for drinking and driving or hiding.
Right.
Like if you're buying nips, you got a problem with alcohol. There's a 99.9% chance that there's an alcohol addiction issue because you're hiding it in some nips are meant to go in socks or go in glove compartments. They're not. They're meant to be thrown out the window. That's why they're banned in Newton, by the way, is not because of like the way that people were drunk driving or anything. They're banned in Newton because they were like trash. Like they were going into sewers and stuff.
You know what I find out the side of the road that is second only to empty nips when I'm out walking the dog every day? Buns. There's a lot of people who are carb conscious while they're eating and driving, and they throw the top bun of various sandwiches, burgers out the window. And my dog will eat everything. And oh my God, here's more bread. Who's throwing the bread away? Every day someone's throwing bread out the window.
I'll tell you, guys with six packs. My dog, a big fan of eating masks. People's surgical masks.
Yeah.
The big pussies that walk around with them still. Like I dumped that thing like in June of 2020. I'm like, I'm not wearing this thing, Fauci. And by the way, you're not putting that microchip in me either. I know what you want. You want to track where Freddie T's going. All right, we have Kelsey audio. He made a fool of himself again. And that wasn't just bumping Andy Reid, which people are excusing, and it's just inexcusable.
Yeah, but we're pretty much gonna focus in on that. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get any fight for your right that I know of yet. I think he's saving that for the parade.
Oh, good!
But
I can't wait.
We got to dissect the Andy Reid bump a little bit, Fred.
And Johnny Gomes is also preparing for that parade, as he did show and prove at the Kansas City Royals one. All right, we'll be right back.